Before the college entrance exam, the scatterbrained school beauty volunteered to keep the admission tickets for the whole class. As the class monitor, I firmly refused, which upset my childhood friend. "You're picking on her again." I ignored him, and on the day of the exam, I personally checked each student's documents to ensure everything was in order. The school belle took the exam admission ticket, then turned around crying and said I had lost hers. My childhood sweetheart snatched my admission ticket and tore it to pieces. Before I could even get angry, I ran my legs off to successfully get a replacement just 1 second before the school bus departed. But then all my classmates collectively kicked me off the bus. "How dare you take the college entrance exam after losing Grace's admission ticket?" They used the practice questions I provided and each achieved outstanding scores. Left with no choice, I had to retake the exam and ended up becoming the provincial top scorer. When the TV station interviewed me, my childhood sweetheart and classmates, who had already achieved their dreams at top universities, all returned to school together. I produced the forged evidence I used to cheat on the college entrance exam. Unable to defend myself, I was doused with gasoline and set on fire by a failed candidate. My childhood sweetheart watched me writhe in agony, yet shielded the campus belle behind him. Years later, after graduating from a prestigious university, he gave her an extravagant wedding, with all our classmates vying to be groomsmen and bridesmaids. When I opened my eyes again, I handed all the exam admission tickets to the ditzy campus belle without hesitation, except for mine. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. So what if I gave the nutritional meals you made for me to Grace? Was it really necessary to target her like this? Childhood friend Simon's displeased voice rang out. Grace has a weak constitution and is about to take the college entrance exam. She needs nutrition more than I do. Didn't you claim to be fair? Then hand the exam admission ticket to Grace for safekeeping. Stop being so power hungry. At this moment, I was gripping the exam admission ticket tightly in my hand. In my past life, my childhood sweetheart also stood up for Grace like this. I had a big fight with him and even called in the homeroom teacher to mediate, which prevented the exam admission ticket from falling into Grace's hands. But then my classmates turned around and accused me of targeting Grace, saying I wasn't fit to be class monitor, and started collectively isolating me. I had to personally beg each of them to go through the practice questions I had prepared for them. It was these very questions that helped even those who were barely making it into Tier 1 universities get into a normal university. Little did I expect that not only would they not thank me, but they also deliberately called my parents when the failed candidates doused me with gasoline. My parents watched as I was burned alive, while they shielded Grace behind them and laughed hysterically. Only my parents couldn't bear the shock and rushed into the flames as well. "Flora, don't go too far. Here, take it." I shoved the exam admission ticket into Grace's hand, cutting off Simon mid-sentence. Then I grabbed my backpack and turned to leave without another word. I couldn't bear to look at these people for even a second longer. "I won't be coming back to school until the college entrance exams." Grace was startled, clearly not expecting me to hand over the exam admission ticket so obediently. But just as I stepped out of the classroom, Simon grabbed my backpack strap and yanked me back. "Wait, where's your exam admission ticket? I'll hold it myself." I impatiently pushed away Simon, but he stubbornly persisted. "No, we agreed everyone's admission tickets would be handed to Grace for safekeeping. Yours too." "Why should I?" I clutched my exam admission ticket and distanced myself from him. "If you're willing to let Grace keep it, I won't stop you. But I'm not willing to. What's the problem with me holding on to it myself? Seriously, can you stop being jealous?" Class monitor. The sports committee member stepped forward and grabbed hold of me. Several other class committee members also stepped forward. "Exactly. Grace is our class darling. She finally wants to do something good for us. Why must you target her?" As the class monitor, you should trust your classmates. We agreed to let Grace keep them, so no one should be left out. The sports committee member snatched my exam admission ticket and threw it to Simon. I rushed to grab it, but the boys kept passing my exam admission ticket around, holding it high in the air. "Come on, class monitor. We'll give it back if you can get it." "Ha ha ha. Look at her jumping around like a dog. Serves you right, always bossing us around." I slammed my bag onto the ground with a thud and stormed out, slamming the door behind me. Simon's smile froze on his face. Someone whispered. Is the class monitor crying? Simon frowned as he watched the direction I left. I washed my face in the bathroom to hide my tear stains. But it's okay. I looked at myself in the mirror. Once the admission ticket is given away, it's given away. I just won't have it then. It's still not too late to get a replacement now. But when I returned to the classroom, the first thing I heard was the sound of card games. I rushed in anxiously, only to find my classmates gathered in a circle, playing poker with the admission tickets. The game was so intense that several admission tickets fell to the ground. Yet no one paid any attention. Only Grace could come up with this. Exactly 54 people. Just enough for a full deck of cards. The school doesn't allow playing cards. And Flora is watching like a hawk. Luckily, Grace is in charge of the admission tickets. Let's see Flora try to confiscate those. Ha ha ha. I'm playing this card. Who dares to challenge me? I dare to go. I've got Simon in my hand. Then I'll have Grace go. Everyone's exam admission tickets were tossed onto the table with a clatter. Until they saw me and frowned. What are you looking at? You want to manage admission tickets too? There are only 2 days left until the college entrance exam. And you're not reviewing. I was a bit curious. Unexpectedly, they scoffed. What's there to fear? Didn't you say you'd predict the exam questions for us? I froze. In my past life, I stayed up all night studying past college entrance exam questions. But they not only scoffed at my predictions but also made me beg them to practice. So they actually knew how important this was all along. Grace rolled her eyes and playfully threw out my exam admission ticket, saying, I'm putting the class monitor in. Who dares to step up? Class monitor. Everyone's attention immediately returned to the card table. I play John. Ouch. The underdog dares to challenge the class monitor. TSK. Flora. Anyone can get on. Right. TSK. That's quite profound. Then I'll nominate Lynch. Tim. Everyone noisily placed their exam admission tickets as bets. And the nominated boys groaned one after another. Hey hey hey. I don't want to go up. I feel sick. Instantly causing the whole room to burst into laughter. Grace even covered her mouth. Gosh. You guys are so mean. People might think we're talking about the toilet. Snap. A slap landed unexpectedly on Grace's face. Simon went out looking for me but couldn't find me. And came back just in time to see this scene. Flora. He grabbed my wrist tightly. What are you doing? The classmates immediately started accusing me of being jealous that Grace was keeping the exam admission ticket. Simon. I pointed at the desk covered with exam admission tickets. Using me as a wild card to play however you want. Do you expect me to say well played? Looking at the thick stack pressing down on my admission ticket. Simon should have understood. Even if he was slow. Simon. Everyone was just joking. Grace said softly, tugging at Simon's sleeve. But Simon glanced at my reddened eyes and froze. For the first time, he didn't take Grace's side. Got it. Hey, Simon, got it. Simon frowned, and everyone had no choice but to shut up, putting away their exam admission tickets one after another. He looked at me, wanting to say something more, but I had already grabbed my backpack and left without looking back. I didn't go back to school, but their situation was still sent to me by Grace. In the private room, the whole class was celebrating a pre-exam relaxation party without the monitor's supervision. Simon placed a hand on Grace's shoulder and smiled while questioning the arts committee member. Having Grace collect the exam admission tickets today, was that to back up the monitor? Speak. Everyone immediately started making a commotion. Simon tore up my exam admission ticket in front of everyone, then smiled at Grace. Believe it now, little princess. Simon is awesome. 100 years of perfect harmony. As the beer bottle opened, spraying foam all over the room amidst cheers, Grace's voice suddenly popped up. I'm really sorry. I was just joking. I never thought he'd actually agree to tear up your exam admission ticket just to prove you're not the one in his heart. I forwarded this video clip to Simon. He didn't reply to me until he sobered up the next day. Oh, I got too drunk last night and forgot to tell you. You should go get it reissued as soon as possible. I clenched the phone. Simon, if I hadn't reached out to you, would you have waited until right before the college entrance exams to tell me? He was choked by my words and somewhat impatient. Can you stop being so jealous for no reason? With that, he hung up the phone. In the past, I wanted to take the college entrance exam mainly to go to the same city as Simon. But now, I don't want to anymore. I dialed the research institute's number and said, "Auntie, I've successfully run the project code, and I agree to join your institute as an exception." "Oh my God, Flora. You've come around. What about your childhood sweetheart? Is he coming to the capital too?" I shook my head. I have nothing to do with him anymore. At my aunt's research institute, some of the tough problems are solved by me writing the code. Not to mention, I have memories from my past life, so project challenges are nothing to me. With the pressure of the college entrance exam gone, I focused on preparing my luggage for the trip to the capital. But the day before the college entrance exam, the whole class privately messaged me. "Class monitor, didn't you promise to give us predicted exam questions? Where are you? If you don't send them soon, the exam will start. Are you even capable? I need to sleep by 10 o'clock. Each of them was in a hurry. But when I previously suggested giving them practice questions and begged them to study properly, they just scoffed. "You're just jealous because we treat Grace as the group favorite and don't know how to get attention for yourself. Right, LOL. Even dogs wouldn't do your practice questions." I replied in the group chat. "No exam predictions. Do as you please." The group immediately erupted. "What do you mean? You said you'd give us predictions, and now you're backing out." "I didn't review at all. I was just waiting for you to predict the exam questions. You did this on purpose, didn't you?" All right. It's just that we can't stand you targeting Grace." "Right. We'll apologize to you. Just hurry up and post the questions." I couldn't help but sneer. Who was it that said even dogs wouldn't do the questions I predicted? Since you don't trust me, why didn't you review it all and just waited for my predictions? A worthless person who can't even take responsibility for themselves deserves to fail. When have I ever been this blunt? The entire class couldn't take it anymore and instantly erupted. Just as I was about to turn off my phone, Grace sent a compressed file to the group chat. "Although I'm not as amazing as the class monitor, I've spent a long time compiling these real exam prediction questions. Feel free to take a look if you're interested." I clicked to open it. Every single question perfectly missed the key points of the college entrance exam. But the classmates were super excited. Only Grace can do this. Not only did she keep our exam admission tickets safe, but she also predicted exam questions for us. Really makes you wonder what use that so-called class monitor is. LOL. What else can you do besides being jealous? A notification popped up on my phone. I was kicked out of the group chat. I wasn't angry at all. They probably haven't noticed yet. On the day of their celebration, several exam admission slips had already slipped from Grace's backpack into the trash can. On the day of the college entrance exam, I still went to the school gate to soak in the atmosphere. From a distance, I saw Grace surrounded by a crowd. What's going on? Could it be in another backpack? It can't possibly be lost. Right. Grace had reddened eyes and kept rummaging through her backpack. It's impossible. I checked everything last night. Everyone's was there. I knew she was lying. How could she have checked when several admission tickets fell into the trash bin on the day of drinking? The students wore nervous expressions on their faces, frequently glancing toward the examination hall while trying to remain patient. It's okay. Take your time and search carefully. There's still half an hour left. But after 10 minutes, even after turning the backpack inside out, the admission ticket was still nowhere to be found. Did you really lose it? The class sports committee member was the first to lose patience. He rushed forward and turned the backpack inside out. Holy shit. You actually lost it. How is that possible? The classmates swarmed forward, searching not only the backpack but also Grace's entire body from head to toe. Grace, didn't you promise to take good care of them? Where are the exam admission tickets? You lost all 54 of them. Grace hugged herself, looking pitiful and vulnerable. But now everyone no longer treated her as the group's darling. Either find your exam admission ticket right now, or we'll send you straight to the police station. Some girls were crouching on the ground crying. How could this happen? If only I had let the class monitor keep the exam admission ticket. She's so responsible. She would definitely have kept it safe. Simon also stepped forward with a complicated expression. Grace, think carefully again. If you left it at home, there's still time to go back and get it. But the police had already rushed to Grace's house 10 minutes earlier. The result was equally fruitless. Bitch. The class sports committee member tore the backpack to shreds. I stayed up all night reviewing the predicted exam questions. And now you're telling me the test is cancelled. The parents of the students couldn't sit still any longer. What's the matter with you? Young lady, aren't you the class monitor? I remember you being very responsible. Upon learning that Grace was only temporarily helping with safekeeping, the parents immediately broke down. You're being so foolish. Your class monitor is such a reliable person. If the monitor had been in charge, none of this would have happened. Grace was surrounded by students and parents. Seeing that she was about to be surrounded, she suddenly pointed at me. I remember now. It was the class monitor. She didn't trust me yesterday and forced me to hand my exam admission ticket to her. Everyone immediately turned to look at me. I looked at all the parents and said, I believe all the parents here know my character. The parents exchanged puzzled glances for a moment. They truly knew how dedicated I usually was. Seeing everyone remain unmoved, Grace hurriedly tugged at Simon's sleeve. Simon, you know, right. It was the class monitor who took it. Simon stiffened. He hesitated as he looked at me. Simon. My voice was slightly hoarse. He steadied his gaze. Yes. I saw her take the admission ticket with my own eyes last night. The student's parent froze. They immediately rushed forward, frantically searching through all my pockets. The last slap landed on my face. Bastard. Where's my son's exam admission ticket? And my daughter's? Ignoring the pain, I immediately pulled out my phone. I didn't take it. It was Grace who lost it and framed me. Grace immediately burst into tears. Monitor, how could you make such unfounded accusations? No matter how unreasonable I might be, I would never joke about the future of the entire class. Unlike you, who promised to predict the exam questions but ended up standing everyone up. And now you're trying to frame me. The sports committee member got furious and knocked my phone out of my hand. It must be her fault. She mentioned key exam topics but then told us to fend for ourselves. In the end, it was Grace who sent us the actual exam questions. If Grace wanted to harm us, she wouldn't have sent the real exam questions. It's definitely her doing. Students and parents surged forward, some pulling hair, others tearing at clothes. You bitch. Where did you hide the exam admission tickets? If you don't tell us right now, I'll strip you naked right here. My son can't enter the exam hall, so you'll be entering the hospital. They were so furious that even the police couldn't hold them back. I looked at Simon, yet he instinctively shielded Grace in his arms, frowning at me. Stop messing around. Quickly take out everyone's exam admission tickets. My mouth was full of blood, and with all my strength, I grabbed the phone that had fallen to the ground and raised it. Who exactly lost them? Everyone will know once they see the video. Grace suddenly turned pale. After being reborn, I was worried these people would continue to frame me, so I kept evidence wherever I went. I did see Grace last night, but we only passed by each other on the street. In the video, Grace squats by the riverbank, shaking out all her exam admission ticket and study materials from her backpack into the river water. A bunch of fools. I was never going to get into college anyway, so losing the admission ticket doesn't matter. But having you all fail the exams with me, I'm not losing out. There's also a man's voice off camera. Your classmates have been so good to you. How can you bear to do this? They're just a bunch of nerds, only useful for letting me copy their answers during exams. Since they treat me like the group favorite, if I can't get into college, they should stay with me. That's what being the real group favorite means. Right. The classmates watched the recording in shock, their eyes reddening one by one. Grace was immediately grabbed by the throat. Bitch. What have you done? How dare you treat us like this? The parents of the students also stared at the footage in shock, tightly gripping the fabric over their chests. This bitch. Some fainted on the spot and were rushed to the hospital. Once upon a time, Grace was the beloved of the group, but now her classmates wouldn't let her go, with many girls crying and hitting her. I wondered why you suddenly offered to keep our exam admission tickets for us. So this was your plan all along. I think you're just jealous of the class monitor. That's why you're slandering her like this. Give us back our exam admission tickets. Grace trembled in fear, just as a burly parent stepped forward to drag someone to the police station. She suddenly let out a scream and pointed at me. Class monitor, was your purpose in guiding me to say those things just to frame me? The classmates froze in stunned silence. What did you say? Grace crouched on the ground, trembling with sobs. Last night I ran into our class monitor, and she said she's been making short videos recently. She wanted me to help her film a scene. I felt something was off at the time, But I still couldn't bring myself to refuse. So I ended up filming this scene holding a bunch of shredded paper pieces. But I never thought this was the class monitor's scheme to frame me. The classmates looked at each other, momentarily unsure whom to believe. Grace wiped away her tears. You all heard Simon say it. He saw the class monitor take the exam admission ticket. Besides, if I really didn't want you to take the college entrance exams, why would I bother compiling past exam questions for you? The students were stunned, recalling my flip-flopping. The class sports committee member was the first to turn to me. You bastard. You almost fooled us again. The parents gradually closed in on me. Flora, as parents, our first trust is in the teachers, and then in you. We even planned to pool together to prepare a gift for you after the college entrance exams, never imagining you've been pretending all this time. Once again, I found myself completely surrounded, but this time I couldn't produce any evidence. Just as I was about to be beaten up by the crowd, the principal came running over, panting heavily. Stop it all. The staff for reissuing is here. Everyone, hurry up. The hands gripping me immediately froze. The parents hurriedly let go of me, pulling their own children to rush to the reissuance counter. I stumbled forward a couple of steps. Simon shoved me hard instead, pushing Grace in front of me. Don't rush. Let Grace get hers reissued first. The sports committee member also turned around, quickly making way for Grace. Grace has been wronged this time. Let her go first to get it reissued. Everyone turned around and spontaneously made way for Grace. Grace's path ahead was now completely clear. Grace, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and get it reissued. We'll wait until you're done before we proceed. Grace clutched the hem of her clothes tightly. Her original plan was to lose everyone's exam admission tickets, dragging them all down with her. If the admission tickets were reissued now, wouldn't her previous high scores achieved through cheating be exposed? More importantly, her scheme would fall through. Grace, don't just stand there. Hurry up and go. Grace had no choice but to reluctantly head to the reissuance office. Where's your ID card? The staff at the reissuance office looked at her. Grace patted herself all over, suddenly turned to look at me. I remember now. The class monitor took my ID card. The classmates immediately turned and grabbed me. Hurry up and return Grace's ID card to her. I struggled fiercely. Are you crazy? How could her ID card be in my hands? Grace's eyes turned red. Class monitor, I know you've always been jealous that Simon and I are close, but now is a life or death moment for the college entrance exam. Don't make any more trouble. Just give me back my ID card. I won't look for Simon anymore. Flora. Simon grabbed my collar. Give her back her ID card right now. The taste of blood in my mouth hadn't faded yet, and I spat a mouthful of bloody foam directly onto Simon's face. I didn't take it. So I didn't take it. Snap. A slap landed on my face. The sports committee member was furious. Everyone, get her. The ID card must be on this bitch. What are you doing? My collar was torn, and just as I was about to be stripped and paraded, the exam bell suddenly rang. Is the exam starting? Everyone was dumbfounded. Only then did they realize that while they were tangled up with me, time had flown by. Grace stood at the reissue counter and let out a long sigh of relief. Then she looked at me, crying, Class monitor, if only you'd returned my ID card earlier, then everyone could have taken the college entrance exam. This statement instantly gave the students who couldn't enter the exam hall an outlet for their frustration. The class sports committee member kicked me to the ground. Next, the students and furious parents rushed forward like mad. Bitch, I want you dead. How could you be so evil? You're trying to destroy so many families. Even if I go to jail today, I'll avenge my daughter. Everyone, move aside. A bucket of gasoline was suddenly splashed all over me. A candidate rushed over with a lighter in hand. Everyone backed away in panic, and my eyes widened in shock. No, I don't want to repeat the same mistakes. The fire burns too painfully. I don't want it. Stop it. A familiar voice appeared. Mom appeared breathlessly behind Grace and firmly grasped her shoulder. Dad stepped forward directly and pulled out the ID card from her clothes, holding it up high. Is this what you meant by my daughter taking your ID card? Grace turned pale. A girl who had been crouching on the ground crying looked up in surprise, her eyes widening. Grace, isn't this thing right in your pocket? Grace stammered. I must have forgotten I put it here. But didn't you just touch this pocket too? It's so shallow. There's no way you could have missed it. Could it be that? Grace, you did it on purpose. The girl covered her mouth in shock. My parents rushed over, helped wash the gasoline off me, and wrapped me in a blanket. Worthless scum. A parent could no longer hold back and slapped Grace hard across the face. The other students couldn't take it either. The boy who had been holding the lighter earlier turned his weapon around and poured a bucket of gasoline all over Grace. Why are you stalling? Are you deliberately trying to stop us from succeeding in reapplying? That's right. She's been targeting the class monitor the whole time, diverting our attention there so we didn't even notice the time had run out. I even saw her checking her watch repeatedly earlier. She knew the time was almost up but chose not to remind us. Everyone, move aside. I'll burn this bitch to death. The most hot-tempered boy in the class rushed forward with a lighter. However, the armed police arrived at that moment. The fully armed officers quickly took control of the scene, firmly restraining the individuals. But Grace was already bruised and battered, needing support to stand steady. The restrained students and parents continued to hurl insults. Grace, we won't let you get away with this. If we see you again, we'll beat you every single time. As I passed by Grace, I saw one of her teeth had already been knocked out. Yet she still looked at me with a cold sneer. Do you think you've won? You may have cleared your name, but you've also lost your chance to take the college entrance exam. With that, she burst into laughter. You were the kind of person who could have been the provincial top scorer. It doesn't matter if I don't take the exam. But Flora, I've truly ruined you. Ha ha ha. I wasn't angry at all. Just shook my head with a smile. What a pity. I've already been admitted to university. This statement immediately triggered jeers from some onlookers. What nonsense. I didn't see her name on the university's recommended admission list. Far from it. This school hasn't had any direct admissions in recent years. Grace even laughed to the point of tears. Flora, it seems you're really traumatized to be hallucinating like this. Don't worry. Simon will rescue me, and then I'll take my time enjoying the sight of your dreams shattering. After saying that, she was taken away by the police. She was right. Simon did indeed bail the person out. But Grace's reputation was already ruined. Classmates and their parents would wait near Grace's house every day. As long as Grace's family dared to show their faces, they would inevitably be met with countless stones and rotten vegetables. Grace's parents both had their heads broken. Their doorstep was even defaced with curses written in red paint. Grace hadn't expected the backlash to be so severe. In tears, she went to find Simon. Not long after, the situation took a turn online. Simon somehow obtained a technical document that clearly stated Grace's ID was fake. The footage of her losing her exam admission ticket was also fabricated. All of this was just a scheme orchestrated by me and my parents. My parents deliberately took a fake Grace Idaho card and rushed to the scene pretending to be Grace without revealing it. It was all just to satisfy my jealous pettiness, but the whole class still believed it. In their eyes, I had previously said I would predict exam questions but ultimately didn't provide them, which meant I was deliberately targeting them. So anything is possible for me to do. For a time, a wave of online violence against me erupted on the internet. People even dug up my parents' personal information, and netizens directly turned their photos into ghost images with large captions. These are the scumbag parents who framed Grace. My aunt called me in a rage, wanting to use her connections at the research institute to help me seek justice. But I refused. For me, the higher the current attention, the better it is for me. Simon called me. If you admit it now, I can help you suppress this heat. Flora, Grace is timid. Don't keep targeting her. Be good. As long as you admit it. Next year for the college entrance exam, I'll apply to the same school as you. I laughed out loud. All right. I'll start the live stream in a bit, Simon said with a gentle smile. Flora, I know you're the most obedient. After hanging up, I started the live stream shortly after. As soon as the live stream started, tens of thousands of people flooded into the room. The barrage was filled with insults. You've harmed so many college entrance exam students, and you still have the nerve to go live. You think you can follow the trend and start live streaming sales? Let me tell you, if you dare to list even one item on your shopping cart, I'll report it and get it taken down. I ignored these insults. I just opened a postal package. It clearly showed that the package was sent before the college entrance exam. I took out the test papers inside. They were exactly my predicted questions. At the same time, I took out Grace's past exam questions shared in the group and put them together. Everyone quickly noticed something was off. Wait a minute. How come these questions from the postal package look so similar to this year's college entrance exam? They almost perfectly predicted the key points. Are these Grace-provided real exam questions or avoidance questions? How did they perfectly dodge all the key points? These two past papers are so complementary. But soon someone retorted. The college entrance exam is already over. Flora acting like a Monday morning quarterback by predicting the questions afterward. Is that really hard? Dude. That was a postal package. The dates on it can be submitted as evidence in court. Damn. So Flora actually predicted the questions correctly. Meanwhile, the students watching the live stream were stunned. The group chat started flooding with messages. What's going on? Grace, this question is fake. But it must be an accident. After all, predicting exam questions is really hard. Grace, it's already great that she's willing to compile them for us. But soon I released another chat log. A mysterious person photographed my exam predictions and sent them to Grace. Grace sent a cheer emoji. Perfect. I'll immediately create a real exam paper based on the opposite of Flora's predictions and give it to them. These idiots are still waiting for exam predictions instead of reviewing. I can't wait to see their hilarious expressions when they fail. The group is frantically tagging Grace, but Grace remains silent as if dead. Simon called me over a dozen times, but I didn't answer any of them. So he sent me a message. Clarify immediately. Otherwise, I'm cutting ties with you. I just smiled and, in response, released the final piece of evidence. There were several Grace videos with different men. What was shocking was that many of the men were familiar faces from our class. Simon's phone went silent. Ever since Grace entered our lives, his heart had quietly veered off course. He even instructed all the classmates to look after Grace. But he never expected that Grace would be looked after by some brothers in this way. What was even harder for him to bear was that Grace seemed to be the one taking the initiative. Due to the overly sensitive nature of the footage, my live stream was quickly taken down. But the heat had already become unstoppable. Grace's incident directly surged to the top of trending searches, with her glorious deeds appearing in the comment sections of major platforms. But this time, Simon didn't help her again. I was added back to the class group chat, but no one was talking. First, a girl messaged me privately. I'm sorry, class president. Soon after, many people sent me apology messages one after another. I didn't reply to a single word. I directly left the class group chat. The truth of the matter has come to light, and the police investigation results are out. Everything was Grace's meticulous plan. Although Grace was severely punished, the entire class had already missed the college entrance exam, and they could only wait to retake it next year. Many people messaged me, begging me to predict next year's exam questions. I refused them all. The sports committee member was furious. Why refuse? We've already agreed. We'll nominate you as class monitor again in senior year 4. Anyway, you're going to repeat the year 2 and will need to prepare your own exam predictions. What's the harm in sharing a copy with us? I smiled. Sorry, but I'm actually not repeating the year. For a while, the news that I had given up studying to work in a factory spread. Grace sent me a message. In the end, didn't I still bring you down? I didn't reply, just waiting for the day when the college entrance exam results are announced. My name, prominently displayed on the university's admission list. It must be cheating. An online uproar erupted against me. Among them, Grace was the first to bear the brunt. She spared no effort in providing evidence that I couldn't enter the exam hall at the time, expressing righteous indignation online. How could someone who didn't enter the exam hall possibly be admitted to a university? And I verified it. Our school didn't have any recommended students this year. Classmates also stepped forward one after another, stating that I was surrounded by them when the exam started, making it impossible for me to enter the exam hall. Their uniform attitude was just like in my past life when they returned from various schools to fabricate evidence of my college entrance exam cheating after I won first place. But this time was different. My aunt personally brought university partners to our school and awarded me the Research Excellence Contribution Medal, in recognition of Flora's outstanding contributions to the project. Our university has decided to exceptionally admit Flora as a researcher at our university's Research Institute. Upon hearing the news, Grace almost fainted. She pointed at me with trembling fingers. When did you agree to this? Didn't you say you were going to the same university as Simon? I looked behind her. There. Simon was staring at me with reddened eyes. Flora, have you forgotten our promise? I didn't speak. I merely placed a recording on the big screen. Little did I expect that not only would they not thank me, but they also deliberately called my parents when the failed candidates splashed gasoline on me. Not only that, but there's also Grace's voice message she sent me. Simon suddenly turned red-eyed and grabbed Grace by the neck. Who allowed you to dance in front of her? Didn't I say, no matter how much you play around, you can't make a scene in front of her? Grace slapped him across the face. Being half-hearted is just being half-hearted. Do you think dancing in front of her makes any difference? As the two of them grew louder in their argument, the principal directly shouted to stop them. The onlookers also looked at them with disdain, along with other classmates in the class. Is this still the top class? Is this how they behave? What's the difference between going out drinking and singing karaoke before the college entrance exam and those delinquents who don't even have to take it? And they still had the nerve to ask the class monitor to predict exam questions for them. That's just hilarious. Look closely. At this point, a few exam admission tickets had already fallen into the trash can. So funny. Grace must have started ruining their admission tickets back then. Right. Everyone's faces turned bright red, and they all quickly left the scene. Many people passed by me, their eyes darting away, even afraid to look at me. I've already blocked these people. The class group has invited me several times, but I've refused every time. Right now, I just want to enter the research institute as soon as possible and use my past life memories to tackle new challenges. However, when the college entrance exams ended the following year, Simon still sent me a video. In the footage, Grace was tied to a chair. Those standing beside me were all classmates who had failed the exams. Flora, I'm sorry. With reddened eyes, he spoke his last words to me before turning off the recording. Not long after, I heard that a murder had occurred at my former high school. In the previous term, a student from one class personally killed another student. All involved were apprehended and brought to justice. But what does it have to do with me? Since I've shifted all my focus onto myself and stopped interfering in others' fates, my career has been steadily advancing. From now on, I will only be myself.